So now, before introducing Federico Casassa talks, I wanted to take one step back and look at the relationship between sugar loading, which belongs to the primary metabolites, like with acids, and flavonoids. And I'm going to use color as the main representing factor for more complex changes. And just a quick reminder from the literature, this was published in 2007 by one of the leading authorities from Australia, the guy who came up with all those concepts regarding sugar loading, amongst others. You see in the bottom, you have how the typical curve of sugar loading is impacted. Here they reported according to, on the x-axis, thermal time. But the picture really to take away from this graph is when you look at the timing when the peak sugar loading is reached, and if you look above, you see anthocyanin content analyzed destructively in the berry, and you see that the peak of total anthocyanin is after the peak of sugar loading, which means that sugar loading is maybe a cheaper way to know for how long active color accumulation is lasting. So you can use sugar loading as a proxy to know that as long as sugar is actively loading, you know you have not reached your maximum color potential. So I think that's a first practical take-home. But the second take-home is, what about the gap between the sugar peak and the color peak? And more interestingly, how is this gap responding to heat? And that's what we're going to discuss over the next slides. But why focusing on color? Again, I'd like to share with you these results that I think is interesting. So the black dots are wine density in terms of color at boiling. And the white dots are how persistent was the color density after 10 months of boiling. You see that there is a good match, which means that the color density you monitor at bottling remains the same in the samples 10 months after it. And what do they plot? Well, they plotted on the y-axis low color density up until high color density. And on the x-axis, they look at the speed at which color accumulated. So again, to echo Nicolas' presentations, the same way you can characterize a sugar loading curve by its duration, its onset, its plateau value, you can characterize the same way with starting of color accumulation, ending of color accumulation, speed at which color accumulates, in order to correlate with the wine potential. You see here nicely, the data suggests that there is a link between the speed at which color accumulates and 10 months after bottling, the density of the color into your wine. So that means that there is some knowledge to gain by tracking the time profile of color accumulation. So the take-home is, number one, keep in mind that color accumulation lasts at least as long as sugar loading. As Nicolas showed, sugar loading is a reference point to adjust the timing of harvest window according to your production objective. And it can also be used as a proxy to make sure that you're still accumulating color, even if you do not monitor directly color. And the second reason, from a winemaker standpoint, why you should do that, it's because you know there are some benefits to expect from a winemaker standpoint in terms of boosting the wine color density. However, I want to put a grain of salt. It's important to keep in mind that more total anthocyanin in the berry skin does not mean more color extraction in your wine, but Federico will clarify this point. There is complex interaction between cell walls, cell vacuoles, tannin, etc. But before giving the deck to Federico, I just wanted to share with you this data that basically look at two things. I looked at all the data from Nicolas, which said that on August 22, on average, the sugar loading had stopped. And then I looked at all of our data, the same way we look at nitrogen in the leaves by blasting light and inducing bioluminescence in the leaf as an organ. We do the same on the clusters. We blast light on the cluster. That excites some compounds within that clusters, and in exchange, those compounds, like total anthocyanin, are sending back light. And by looking at how dense is the light that is being emitted by the excited cluster, we can track days in, days out, how much of a gain or how much of a loss we have in color. And the same way I was looking at the peak sugar or at the peak nitrogen, I have been looking at the peak of color. When was this peak reached? How quickly was it reached? Because I know that it has implication in refining the position of harvest window and also the potential for extracting more color. And what's very interesting is that the peak in 2016 was earlier than 2017. What's the difference? Well, in 2017 we had more heat waves. And that's exactly what the scientists from Le Courieux and Guyot have predicted, is that the heat will delay the onset of color. So there is this extremely nice match between something that has been obtained under really constrained conditions in a scientific settings and data we are collecting in practice in vineyards randomly without any agenda by using a very different method. You see, there are 10 days of difference observed in terms of Cabernet Sauvignon. And this is even wider if I convert those dates into thermal time. And for the Merlot, the difference is not so big, which means exactly as Elizabeth was pointing at, that different varietals have different sensitivity, susceptibility to heat, which will explain why in the future with global warming, we should expect a greater scattering, more contrast, in response to heat wave due to varietal-specific affinity to survive heat wave or delay their maturation patterns. In practical terms, what it means is that if on the time axis here I have put the time axis of 2016 and the time axis of 2017, you see in orange the duration of sugar loading described per Nicolas. And you see that on August 18, the sugar loading had ended. Then what I did was looking at all the time profile of color accumulation across Napa, and just like Nicolas found that the peak of sugar loading was on August 22, we found that the peak of color loading in Napa was September 10. So basically you see the width of the window between phenolic maturity and technological maturity. The sugar loading ends, the color loading ends. And it's a rather short gap in 2016, whereas in 2017 you see a shorter duration of sugar loading, so shorter period 4, but you see that the gap between the peak color and the peak sugar is wider. And I remember a lot of winemaker colleagues telling me the sugar is there, but it's just not ripe, it's just not ripe. And that matches again perfectly the scientific result saying that heat will cause a delay in the onset of ripening. So this ripening disorder, the fact that while everything was said to have a perfect maturation with rather maybe large berries overall, and you saw, as Nicolas pointed, September 1st, it's as if the Columbia rocket had been hit in a very nice launching pattern. The heat just killed everything. And because it killed everything, it induced this extra delay that caused the harvest window to be postponed, even more than in 2016. And it's not the first time we're saying that. Actually, it was published by Sadras and Moran in 2011. It is expected that in the context of global warming, there is going to be a lack of synchronization between the peak sugar and the peak color. This uncoupling between primary metabolites such as the sugar and secondary metabolites such as the flavonoid is expected to be more and more pronounced in response to heat, which is the seventh take-home today. Nitrogen and water supplies were high, but conditions during period 3 have favored even good fruit potentials in terroir with limited root reservoirs. We discussed that the onset of deficit could have been earlier than in 16. However, negating this positive outlook initially, high temperature caused a hard stop during berry volume and sugar gain. And for those of you who have tracked berry volume, you may remember this stop while everything was flying nicely. Will delay ripening, whether we speak about sugar peak or color peak. Decouple sugar accumulation from color accumulation, as I have just shown, you see. A wider gap is occurring between the peak of color and the peak of sugar. And the consequence from that is that it delays naturally harvest date. So once we have this situation acknowledged, how can we make the best in terms of winemaking practices. And just 2 slides before Federico comes here, things were not looking so bad during period 5, because you see, contrarily to 14, 15, and 16, while we were accumulating the last bits of color, the temperature have not been the highest on record. Remember that temperature above 35 Celsius are very deleterious for color. But we were not in such a bad situation compared to 2015 or 2014. So really at this stage, the greatest risk to mitigate were, once peak color has been reached, how to avoid the negative effect of high temperature on acids, aroma, as well as color, and of course the smoke exposure, but we will discuss that this afternoon.